hit me, please? Okay. Sorry. Okay, can you say, look at the camera, you see the light? Can you look down, can you say your name?
Caiden.
Good, can you continue to look?
Caiden.
Your name's Caiden, and how old are you, Caiden? So you can let me know when you're ready.
So how have you personally been coping during this time?
Personally, it's been hard because I just try to think about Caiden, honestly, because I feel like he can't think for himself right now. Being that he's 5, wait, baby, stay still. Okay, being that he's 5, that's my main concern with him. I know right now, like he's as you can see, like he's still all over, but then he comes and he sits down, and that's when he's being serious, and he's like, you know, Mommy, are you okay? He'll see me crying, and I'm like, I don't like to cry in front of him. And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. It's just, I'm just thinking. He's like, what are you thinking about? And, you know, when I think, I'm thinking, wow, like he's 5. I wonder how many times am I going to have to repeat this before he actually understands, like, okay, my dad is really not coming back. Alrighty, so I'm Tianna. I did grow up in LA, in Harbor City. I am the mother of Draco's son. Cochran Caldwell is his name that we decided to make up. I'm 26 years old, and you know, I pretty much grew up all my life in Harbor City. I went to Norvon High School. I did actually meet Darrell over Instagram, which is a funny thing, and we kind of like connected like that, and that's how we, you know, came to be, met up. We've been together before we had Caiden. We was together for a few years, a little over 3 actually, and then that's when we brought our beautiful son into the world. You know, after that it was pretty much bittersweet, being that I had Caiden, but Darrell wasn't there, but still I would always have Caiden to be there with me, just to remind me of him, because he just reminds me so much of his dad. So yeah.
So we're here this morning so that you guys, the family, can announce the lawsuit. Can you talk to me a little bit about the lawsuit and why it is important to you?
Well, I feel like it is important to me because all I think about is, yes, the tragedy of Darrell, but then now it's our 5-year-old son that he has, you know, left behind. And of course, this wasn't by choice. This was something that happened. And it was a major tragic on how it happened, how there was just lack of security with the venue. You know, no one has any answers for his 5-year-old son that he's left behind. I'm sitting here, you know, constantly trying to talk to my son and let him know, you know, that everything's gonna be okay, even though, you know, you won't see your dad again. And the last things that we have to hold on to is the memories that he has with him, his music, which is one of Caiden's favorite thing to listen to all the time. Every time it's, I want to listen to my dad on YouTube. I want to watch my dad on stage. I want to see my dad perform. You know, I still have to go through the fact that daily he asks sometimes, you know, when is he going back to his dad's house? Or, you know, is his dad still gone? Or is he coming back? And he's not really grasping that his dad is actually gone and he's never gonna be able to see him again. And that's like a big challenge for me. And I feel like, you know, this is a real big deal for me today, especially for Caiden, because we're gonna step up and we're gonna let them know that, you know, no one's able to bring him back. No one's able to give him an answer on why his dad is gone and he can't come back to him. Yeah, so being that me and Darrell was together for so long, I did meet him when I was literally getting out of high school. He was older than me. You know, he's 28, I'm 26, so he was older than me by 2 years. I know that what the public see, they might think that it's just, oh, this guy who just does this and talk all this, but he actually really has a sweet heart when it comes to his family, when it comes to his loved ones, when it comes to taking care of what he needs to take care of. He was big on that, especially with family, especially, you know, making sure that everyone that is around him or supported him, they get that in return. During the time that we were together, that's how it was, you know, and that's how Caiden came to be, because the love between us was strong. he always took care of me, especially, being that I was younger than him. So he always, he was older than me, so he knew what was going to happen. And I do appreciate that. I definitely, and that's why it will always be love in my heart for him, because of the fact that at the end of the day, me and him, we brought Caiden into this world together, and there was love there.
Okay. If there's one quality or trait or anything that you would want the world to know about Drakeo, other than what you just mentioned, of course, like him, always extending his love and loyalty to his family, what are like some traits you would want the world to know about him? Like, was he funny?
Yeah.
Was he, well, of course we saw he was funny.
Yeah, so definitely he was literally a goofball, like, and I laugh all the time because it's Caiden. Literally, Caiden is him. With his face down, all the way down to his facial expressions. His facial expressions, the way he acts, the way he dances, is he was just, when you get to know him and he opened up, he was a real good person. Definitely. Every time he used to come around my family, it was nothing but all he does is smile, 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 and literally that's what Caiden takes. Like, every time you see him, it's nothing but a smile on his face. Definitely had those pearly whites. So he was definitely a goofball. He definitely was, when he opened up to you, you seen the real Darrell, honestly. And from the start, that's what I've been calling him. I know his name. Of course I know his name, Drakeo The Ruler, but I call him Darrell because that's the person that I really know under everything. Before the fame, before anything started up, I was there, and that's the person that I started with. So that's, it's always going to be a part of me. Caiden is always going to remind me of him. So, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the time that, Drakeo had went away and he was fighting those charges, and he was like literally being railroaded by our criminal justice system here in Los Angeles. How did you feel to see him fighting basically for his freedom?
Yeah, so it was very hard for me, honestly. It was really hard, being that, honestly, if we bring it back from the beginning, the day that I was actually giving birth to our son, he was actually getting his home invaded by the police. So he actually had to miss, our son being born. So just from the jump, it was a hard thing to deal with. Now, after that, he got released, then getting put back into jail and having all of the DAs and everyone trying to come after him. It was even more hard because all I wanted him to do was be there to be with his son. While they're spending time railroading him, trying to make him be guilty, accuse him of things, he's missing that time out to be with his son. And that's what hurt the most, that they didn't get to really have that connection. But we always tried to keep it over the phone. We always tried to keep it through, his grandma, which is Darrell's mom. We always tried to keep that connection to make sure it never fell just because Darrell was away. He always took care of him. Oh yeah, definitely took care of him while he was in jail. Still made sure that, Caiden got whatever he needed, even though Darrell wasn't physically there to give it to him and be there for him. We kept those conversations over the phone. And Caiden was small, so, he would just hear him talk, or before, everything happened, he would actually be going to see him before COVID started and things like that, just so that he can keep that memory and know, you know what, this is your dad, this is who he is. I used to play music for him so that he knows his voice. He knows, like, okay, this is my dad. I know he's not here right now, but I know that he's still with me. I know that I can still hear his voice. And once again, that just turns into everything, and why it's so hard for me, because it's like, it was different when his dad was incarcerated, but he was still here on this earth. He was still finding ways to see him. He was still finding ways to hear his voice. And it's like, now we have to move on, and only at the age of 5, his dad's gone. He's never gonna, be able to see him anymore. The only memories that we're gonna be able to keep is through his music.
And so what is your biggest hope and wish for your son?
That's a tough one. My biggest wish is that, I always pray for him. I pray that he finds peace. I pray that, the Lord just watch over him. the Lord just answer all his questions, even if I don't feel like I'm answering them correctly for him, because he's 5. So I get questions daily from him, you know, repetitive questions asking, you know, can I go back to my dad's house now? Or is my dad still gone? And, you know, it hurts, because then I start crying that I have to repeat it, you know, saying, yeah, he's still gone. You know, he's not going to be here anymore. You're not going to be able to go to his house, but it's okay because you still have your grandma, you know, you still have your uncle, you still have your cousin. So we still have some memory of him, but he's just not really grasping that, you know, you're just not going to be able to see your dad anymore. So that's the part that becomes real tough when I have to repeat it to a 5-year-old. And of course I'm going to repeat it because he's 5. He's not fully understanding and getting everything correctly. You know, he's still telling me, hey, I'm going to go to my grandma's house and my dad is going to pick me up from there, because that's what he used to. He's used to going to his grandma's house. He used to having his dad come and pick him up from there. And he comes back and tell me what they did. They went to Disneyland, or he took him, you know, shopping, or anything that they did, any time that they had when they were bonding was just, it was great for me. Yeah, so, you know, it's just about how many times, I just think about how many times I have to repeat myself. And, you know, not that it's a problem or anything, it's just that when I have to repeat it, I get emotional. Like, you can ask my family, like, I'm the emotional one. So I can just be sitting there, Caiden can just be enjoying himself, and then I'll just start crying, because it's like, oh my God, you know, your dad's life was taken away from him, which just automatically cut off any future bonding that you guys had going. You were only 5. You was his only son. There, you know how it is when the dads and their son, they have the closest bond, and I just feel like it was ripped away from my child. It's not fair in so many ways, on how he just has to go on with life. He has to go through school. He has to go through, you know, whenever he gets to middle school, high school, whenever he starts his first basketball game, whenever he starts his first football game, things like that, his dad is not going to be there to support him. He's not going to be there to say, hey, my dad is here to support me. And it's just going to be me, you know, and the rest of the family, of course. But at the end of the day, every son needs his dad. And that's a major thing that's going on today with, you know, having dads being taken away from, even if they have girls, just having dads being taken away from their family. It's really hard. It's really hard to, I just feel like just for the child to grow up and only have their mom there, because there's things that his dad can teach him that I can't teach him. But I definitely will try my best to make sure that he's going on the right track, no matter what.
Okay.
So, you know, and I do want to, you know, start off by saying that even though we were not together when he passed, and we have not been together for a few years now, you know, following my son's birth, it's still respect for him, and it's still respect for his family, and the love is still there. I will always have love for him, being that he was the father of my son. And no matter what was going on, the way that he treated my son, it didn't affect what was going on between me and him. You know, just me, myself, moving along, I'm just here to make sure that my son will always remain in a good position, and he will always keep that legacy going and know who his dad is and what his dad has done and how big his dad has become since being released from jail. You know, because it was a major difference. You know, one minute he was in jail, he wasn't looking at getting out, to now, okay, he's out. I'm like very excited. I'm telling Caiden, oh my God, he's out. You know, I always knew it. I always knew it deep down. Always knew deep down, okay, you know what? They're not going to be able to keep him down for long. We're gonna see him soon. I just didn't know how soon it was gonna be. And once I found out, I was like, oh God, you know, this is really a blessing, because you get to finish off that bonding with your son that they took away from you for so many years, you know? So right now, I just have to do what a mother can do, and that's be great for her son, be great for herself, keep myself going, you know, continue with my life, and making sure that my son will always remember his dad.